Okay, how's everybody doing this evening?
How's it going?
Of course, my name's Kent, and most people are familiar with my daughter, Molly, who's big in social media. A lot of people know Chase because he's a developer on the Challenged app, but not a lot of people see my other son, Chance. So tonight he decided to ride with me on the video.
And it's a beautiful night in Carlsbad here. We're just making a video. What do you think the temperature is out tonight?
I don't know, it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, anything you have to say about blockchain?
I don't know much about it, and I've been hearing about it for a long time, so that goes to show you it's pretty complicated. But I think that it's big stuff. I think that it has the potential to change the world and take over everything really. So I think that it's something to watch and be mindful of if something's going to take off, because it could go 0 to 60 real quick.
That's correct.
So that's what all I got to say about blockchain.
Okay, thanks, Chance. So that's my middle son. Like I say, I've got an older son, younger daughter. Both of them been on my channel. Of course, my wife's been on my channel quite a bit too. So now you're pretty much getting to see everybody and get a bigger picture of what we're all about. We're, like I say, got all my family members involved. So the reason I want to put Chance in this video tonight is I wanted him to kind of talk about his understanding of blockchain, because Molly is involved with Challenge application. Chase obviously is, he's bigger into it than I am. He's the developer. He's the one that comes up with the ideas. He's the one that trades the tokens. He's heavily involved and has been for a long time. He's been in the crypto space for a long time. I don't even know how far back he goes. He goes clear back into Bitcoin days, where he was at the Arizona State University, and he was studying this a long time ago. He's talking to me about blockchain way back a long time ago. I always tell the story. I think I've told the story on this channel a couple times. He had made a little bit of money in Bitcoin, and I begged him to sell it. I said, please sell it. I said, it's not going to go anywhere, and it's just a fad, and a lot of people are doing well with it right now, but it isn't going to last. It's going to fizzle and go away. And we actually had a little bit of a time where he and I would argue almost every day about his Bitcoin. And then obviously I see Bitcoin keep going up and up and up, and he hit some really good times with Bitcoin, pre 2017, and some of those times where it really ran up a lot, and he had made some pretty good money. So at that point I started seeing some of the benefits of us. I saw his bank account grow fairly significantly over short periods of time, so then I became a believer too. And that's what got me involved with it, was his initial investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and of course EOS too. But the reason I want to talk about this a little bit tonight, because there's some friction points right now with blockchain. And one of the friction points of blockchain is people aren't getting it very easily. It's a little more difficult to understand if you just go to people and say, look, I want to talk to you about blockchain, and I want to tell you what it is. I want to tell you what Bitcoin is. And if you go through the protocol, and you go through Satoshi Nakamoto, and you go through how it's a third party, and it's it's peer-to-peer, and it's a distributed database. I mean, you start doing stuff like that, and people get lost really quick. You start talking technical stuff really fast, and people get lost, and everybody just kind of like, they don't really want to take the time to understand it. People are busy. They don't want to delve into it too hard, because they don't, first of all, it's stuff that a lot of people just don't find as understandable and every day that people talk about. I mean, I always talk about the internet in the way that my generation didn't have the internet. I didn't grow up with the internet, so I didn't inherit information from my parents and my grandparents about internet and have them talk to me when I was a kid about internet, because they didn't even know what it was, and most people my age don't know what it is. So there isn't like this this information passed down from generation to generation, because basically the internet age is this most recent generation, been around about 20 years. So if you're any older than 20 years old, you probably this is all stuff that is you have to learn. It's not stuff you picked up in school. It's not stuff that you just automatically grew up with, so you're not very familiar with it. As in blockchain, people are just not very familiar with blockchain. They don't understand blockchain. It seems a little complicated to them, so they just stay away from it. They don't have anything to do with it. In fact, I was listening tonight on one of the podcasts I listened to, is that they were saying the major problem with Bitcoin and with EOS or with any other of the cryptocurrencies is most people just don't understand it. And there's not an easy, quick one or two word catchphrase that will explain it to them. And I was thinking about that tonight, and I was thinking really the most easy way to explain it to people is it's just digital currency. Think of digital currency versus currency that's in your wallet, or the dollar bills that you carry around, the paper money, the fiat money. It's just digital money. I think that's something people can grasp pretty easily, a digital currency, digital money. But what I want to stress tonight is the fact that people think that understanding the blockchain is an option. They don't have to understand it. It's not mandatory. That they can take it or leave it. It's not the most important thing in the world. I would argue that point very, very much. I would say it is important, and you better start learning it, and you better realize there are no other options. This is the option for the future. And I'll tell you why. The world is filled with currencies that are depreciating in value every day. In fact, I was looking at the world currencies, and I think of 143 world currencies that they monitored, over 80% of them are losing value every single day. And some of those, like Argentina and some of these other countries, are losing significant values. So if you're holding those currencies, you literally are, your money is melting away minute by minute, second by second, day by day. So your money's going away very, very quickly. Even in the United States, the rate that our currency is being diluted and decreased in value is just, it's a hidden tax that people aren't aware of. The only way you're aware of this is over a period of time where you start to see how little your money is worth. That's why there's no savings rates, and that's why very few people are interested in holding dollars without making some sort of investment with that dollar, is because it has no value. And this is why people really want to get rid of their dollars. That's why when I was a broker, when I was a penny broker, people couldn't get rid of them fast enough because you were in a high inflation time. Some of those inflation years when I was a broker was over 20%, 15-20% inflation. So people couldn't get rid of the money quick enough. They had to put it into something, or else literally it would become worthless very quickly. So that's what's going on. So that's why you need to understand digital currencies. You need to understand the blockchain. You need to understand this current system that's taking over the future, which is digital currency, an online currency, a currency that trades without any kind of barrier or any kind of national sovereignty or international sovereignty or anything like that. It's borderless. It's without any kind of language barriers. It's computer. It's digital. It's the new wave of things to come. So it's not take it or leave it. It's understand it or don't understand it. It's understand it or be left behind. So this idea that you can just understand it or take it or leave it, and it's not something that important, is, I think, a big fallacy in a lot of people's thinking. It's not that difficult to understand if you have to understand it. It's not that difficult to understand if you realize this is the only way of you holding money in the future without having it waste away by government printing presses, by quantitative easing, by inflation, and by tariffs and all this other stuff. All the other trade barriers are going on right now. So when you start to grasp that point, that this isn't a choice of whether to learn it or not, and it's, if I don't have to think about this will go away, and it's just some sort of something in a few years nobody's going to be talking about. You are sadly mistaken, my friend. This is the wave of the future, and this benefits you if you learn it, this benefits you if you understand it, and it benefits you if you get involved. No options here. It's either do it or don't do it. If you don't do it, you will stand to lose. If you do it, I think you got a bright future. So I don't think this is something people can just throw away and not use. This is something that has to be understood, and the people that are smart, and the people that are knowledgeable, and the people that can see the future are learning blockchain, are understanding the way it works, and are getting involved. Like I said last night in my video when I was at the North County meetup here yesterday, there were a lot of smart people in that room that didn't know what EOS was, or never heard of it before, or had some vague understanding of it, that were understanding that they needed to know it, even though they didn't know it. They were finding out more, and that's why they were there at the meetup. Is they were there to learn and understand. Those are the smart people that are grasping the fact that this is very, very important, and it's not something that you can just come and take or leave. It's something you better understand and better get it. So yeah, this is what's going on in the future. People that are of knowledge are people that are understanding it and getting it and moving forward with it. So anyway, very important stuff to know, and exciting stuff to know, and profitable stuff to know. And I think it'll pay dividends more than you will ever know once you understand it. And I hope more people try to get it, or try to explain to other people, because this is the way of the future. This is why I do these videos. This is why we'll continue to do these videos, because I hope to educate people on blockchain, and hope to educate people on EOS, and hope to educate people on the fact that this is the future. And if you want to dig yourself out of the everyday, ordinary, mundane 9-to-5 job, and you want to do something that help your future, help your kids, help your family, blockchain is the way to be. Blockchain is the way to go. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.